Shut down the offense, so you've got to shut down the Twitter. What a game in Houston as the Cougars annihilated the Cardinals and Lamar Jackson 36-10. Mark Rogers TV with the instant analysis. What a job by defensive coordinator Todd Orlando and his Houston defense. This is a defense that is full of speed and size and athletic playmakers on that side of the football, especially in the front seven against Lamar Jackson. Get this stat, 10 sacks, 10 legitimate sacks against Lamar Jackson, holding him to about 2 yards per carry. We're talking about guys like Eddie Oliver, one of the most highly recruited football players in all of America, but specifically by a group of 5 school, the highest rated of all time, and this kid is living up to the billing as a freshman. 15.5 tackles for loss and 3 sacks coming in. He was up to 3 sacks in this game before he left early in the fourth quarter. Hope he's all right. Stephen Taylor's been the leader on this defense for quite some time. The senior racked up 3 sacks himself. And we also have Brandon Wilson, a guy that in the defensive backfield who was tabbed as a bit of a shadow against Lamar Jackson for the Houston Cougars. And he was the guy who we saw on several occasions make plays in the open field, tripping up Lamar Jackson all by himself with nothing but green around him. Tremendous plays by this Houston defense and just swarming all over this Louisville offensive line, and that proved to be the big mismatch in this game was the Houston defensive line, especially the D tackles, D ends, and also the outside linebackers getting into the backfield for Louisville. The Cardinals offensive line overwhelmed on this night. 50 points per game for a Louisville attack ranked number 1 in scoring in the nation, held to 10 points. Greg Ward Jr. has been overlooked this season because the Cougars won the big game against Oklahoma early, rose to number 6 in the nation, lost the 2 games when they were a bit banged up against Tulsa and against Navy, and Greg Ward has been an afterthought on the national scene, but he's still completing 68% of his passes through his 18th touchdown tonight and has 26 total touchdowns and has this big W against Louisville. Think, Houston, the only team in college football with wins over top 5 teams. 2 wins over top 5 teams in Oklahoma and Louisville this season. We mentioned the tweets off the top of the segment here. What we're referring to are tweets by the Louisville football players, several of them, not all 105. So we can't discredit all of them, but a few spoke out after the College Football Playoff Committee rankings came out earlier this week, calling themselves ripped off, robbed, disrespected. Well, you got to play football, and when you've got a team with Houston's talent and you've got to go on the road, you better be focused not on the tweets, as we will tweet this out a little bit later, but you got to be focused on the football. All right, for Louisville, now 9-2. They're done with ACC play. They have to root for Wake Forest to pull off a monumental upset at home against Clemson to get to the ACC championship game. Their lone date is against Kentucky. That's probably not going to happen. Lamar Jackson has been the odds-on favorite to win the Heisman for really the entire season, especially since he broke ankles all over the field against Florida State. But that's in jeopardy for the first time. He's still the front runner with 47 total touchdowns. But now the play of guys like Jalen Hurts and J.T. Barrett, Leonard Fournette are going to be a little bit more examined and compared to Lamar Jackson, especially the first 2 guys, Hurts and Barrett, playing very meaningful games in November. For Houston, they're not necessarily the best team in the American. Well, with a display like this and in Game 1 against Oklahoma, most of the eyeball test would point to Houston as being the best team in the American. But at 5-2, they still trail Navy at 6-1 for the American Division Championship to get to the conference title game. And it's mostly not going to happen for them because they virtually trail by 2 games because they lost 46-40 to Navy. Tom Herman, he has the swag back. He has the vibe back there in Houston after getting his team back to full health. Houston demolishes Louisville and shakes up the college football playoff rankings. Number 5 goes down early on this weekend after 2, 3, and 4 went down last weekend. Need to hear from you now on Mark Rogers TV.